The Chief Justice of Nigeria has tasked the newly sworn-in justices of the Federal High Court to leave to their responsibilities and meet the high expectations placed on them by citizens. Now, the Chief Justice gave this directive after administering the oath of office to the newly appointed judges, urging them to uphold the rule of law in discharging their constitutional duties to the nation. News Central's Marvelous Obomanu reports.
One after the other, the 23 Federal High Court justices took their oath of office. They swore to abide by the ethical code expected of judicial officers and members of the bench.
Do solemnly swear that I,
Nigeria's Chief Justice, who presided over the ceremony, warned the newly appointed High Court justices to live up to the high expectations placed on them by the public.
Your lordships must sever ties with anything that will smear your hands and bring you into disrepute in the course of your new assignment. The bench is neither for the indolent, the greedy, nor those with dubious character, who can easily fall for a plate of porridge offered by desperate litigants. You must at all times rise above temptations and trials that might obstruct or even halt your rise to the pinnacle of your career. We are all humans, no doubt, but you display the humanism in you by doing those extraordinary things that people will ordinarily conclude that you cannot do.
A former member of the bench, whose daughter was amongst the appointed justices, took time to give them a word of advice.
This is a sign of recognition of the hard work of those who are appointed. Then it's also a time for deep reflection by them, because now they have taken position of God, because it's God that judges. So God has borrowed them his position. And now they will be judges between men on things they do, and you have had the other office, but we only pray that God will give them the wisdom to carry out the duty to the best of their ability, so that they will continue to dispense justice to the society. Most of them are young people coming with new ideas, and they will be posted to different parts of the country, and I'm sure they will do their best, and I will be proud of all of them. Well, my prayer for them is to succeed.
It's a challenge, because he has thrown a challenge to them. So it's left for them to live up to expectation.
The newly appointed justices of the Federal High Court were carefully drawn and selected in conformity with the requirements of the nation's constitution. Before they will be posted to their various jurisdictions, they will undergo an orientation and training exercise. It will be expected that additional numbers will help to fast-track the speedy administration of criminal justice and other civil-related matters. Marvelous Obomanu reporting for News Central.
Thank you, Marvelous, for that report. Now, to further discuss this, I'm being joined on the news by a lawyer, Nekabari Annah. Thank you so much for joining us, Nekabari, on the news this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, so can you tell us, how do you think the newly sworn-in justices can advance the need for nation building in Nigeria?
Thank you for the question. The first thing for me to emphasize is that lawyers, now judges, are social engineers. Now, being social engineers, this crop of judges have all it takes to promote the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And one of the ways they can do this is through the speedy dispensation of justice. It's important for them to remember the challenges they faced while they were lawyers. The period it took for a matter to be called for mention, to when the date is fixed for hearing, to the number of years a very simple matter takes to pass through the court process. I believe they have what it takes. I believe being acutely aware of the challenges lawyers face, being acutely aware of the need to restore the trust of the Nigerian public to the judiciary, these lawyers, now justices of the Federal High Court, are going to uphold the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Like my Lord, the Chief Justice of Nigeria said, it is important for them to say no to a plate of porridge when it is given. It is important for them at this point to say no to persons who would want to ignite the natural greed that exists in every human. I believe that this set of judges have all it takes to make a difference. I know some of them personally, like the Honorable Justice Hussaini Dadangaruba, who we are classmates. He was an excellent student. He was a distinguished student. He had very good character, high morals, and you cannot give what you do not have. My Lord Honorable Justice Hussaini Dadangaruba is going to make a difference, and I am very sure, like most of my colleagues across the country, will be looking out for him.
All right, Nekabari, now talking about high morals and saying no to a plate of porridge. Now, what are the major challenges that you think these justices might likely face?
The first major problem they are going to face is that of poor remuneration. Okay. Poor remuneration. A counselor in Nigeria is richer than a high court judge. A counselor in Nigeria is richer than a high court judge. Now, you can imagine where you are called upon to adjudicate or to do justice before litigants who are far richer than you, who are far influential than you, and who knows people in high places that will start calling you here and there. It will be easier for you to say no to inducement when you can at least feed your family. It will be easier for you to say no to inducement when you have the basic necessities of life. Another challenge they will face is that everybody in their community will start running to them asking for money, thinking that they now have one access to the national treasury, which in truth they do not have. That is going to put additional pressure on these honorable justices. Another pressure they are going to face is that of workload. There are tens of thousands of cases before the Federal High Court. As I speak with you, hundreds of cases are being filed. So these judges are going to be faced with a lot of load, and they have to hit the ground running. They have what it takes. They've been tested, they've been tried, and the system has trusted them to elevate them to the bench of the Federal High Court. It is true that some persons have concerns about the qualifications of those who have been appointed, but it's not my duty to begin to talk about the criticism of the process. What is important is, having been appointed, we expect that they should contribute their share towards restoring the trust of the Nigerian public in our judicial system.
All right, so in light of some of these challenges that you have mentioned, now let's talk about executive interference and intimidation of the judiciary. How can this particular issue be nipped in the bud?
The only way it can be nipped in the bud is for judges to take their destiny into their own hands. The judiciary of Nigeria must take their destiny into their own hands. Nobody gives you anything for free. It is said that red is the road to freedom. As long as the judicial system in Nigeria, courts of all branches across the state and even the federal courts go cap in hand, begging members of the executive for basic things the court needs, there is no way the judiciary is going to be independent. I was expecting, and I am still expecting, that judges would negotiate their independence. If anybody wants to allow the system, that anybody does not want the system to work, all of these people also need the judiciary to deliver on their cases. This may sound like me becoming a judicial activist, but if need be, it's important for us to be. Why do we give speedy dispensation of justice to politicians? Meanwhile, the common man on the street who has gone to court because of a case of house rent, that case will be in court for 10 years. Ordinary issue of house rent. But when a politician files a case, he gets a date the next day, and the following week judgment is given. It is important that the politicians should also experience the delay the ordinary Nigerians are facing. In that way, they will begin to accord the judiciary the honor, the prestige, the regard it deserves in the society. You see, again, if you don't respect yourself, nobody will respect you. We also expect that these gentlemen who have been put and bestowed by God in the positions they now occupy should also demonstrate respect for themselves, so that members of the executive will also respect them and ensure that that independence that the Constitution says they should have should actually be given to them.
Nekabari, just a quick follow-up on what you have actually said. Many have actually argued that the succession of inconsistent rulings by the highest court questions both the competence and also the integrity of judicial administration in Nigeria. Now, do you agree with this or not?
I absolutely agree. When we were in the university, we are taught about the principle of judicial precedence. We are taught about the principle of stare decisis. But today, as a lawyer, if you go to court, you are not sure of what the ruling will be. Even though there is precedent that is supposed to amplify your case and give you a lot of confidence that you are going to win your case. But because lots of funny things are happening, which requires a lot of sanitizing to take place in the system, which requires judicial officers, lawyers also. Lawyers play a critical role in all the funny things happening in the system. It is important for us to first and foremost tell ourselves that we want to be restored to that original position that people used to know us to be when they called us learned men. When they hear that the lawyer is passing, people would want to see who the lawyer is. But today, we have denigrated the system, and we alone can restore the system to what it should be.
All right, thank you so much, Nekabari, Annah, for your take on this particular issue. We appreciate you for your time.
You're welcome.